and I have interacted with many healthcare professionals. Dear Kenyans, we must bite the bullet. It is clear that Kenya is ripe. Again, I give an example for an equivalent of TSC. Even in healthcare, Kenya must have the Kenya Doctors and Healthcare Workers Commission that will be managing the affairs of our doctors and healthcare workers. And I am saying this knowing that it is a devolved function, but laws are made for the man, not man for the law. You can imagine now that a doctor in Nyamira, if they get married in Kwale, they have to quit their job in Nyamira and seek a fresh job at the other place. If we have a national platform to manage our healthcare workers, this will be a good opportunity, first of all, to harmonize. Number two, also, to ease also their welfare in terms of transfers. And so that also, we have a united front when it comes to staffing of our healthcare facilities. The other issue I want to give, which have really troubled my mind, is the issue of jobs. The other day, I got a committee from one of the churches in my office. And they were coming to invite me for a function, a church function. There were two ladies in that committee. And just during the introduction, one lady even cried, even before they told as leaders why they had come to my office. Because the lady has a son who is a doctor, who is doing vibarua. The other lady in the same meeting has a pharmacist, also unemployed. Every Kenyan watching us tonight, all families, most of them are having a challenge of people who have gone to school. They are willing and able, but our country cannot provide an opportunity for them to work. Dear leaders and Kenyans, this has to change. And I'll give a few areas. I'll just give a few. One is that all the economies of the world that we study, from Singapore that we all hear about, I know you are almost laughing, to South Korea, to China, and all these countries, the basis of growth which creates a synergetic movement in the economy is manufacturing. We have to deliberately grow our manufacturing sector to secure jobs for the young people of Kenya. And in this respect, you cannot talk about manufacturing without talking about the cost of power. And that is why, in terms of manufacturing, the proposals I have come with are domiciled, number one, around getting power adequate in Kenya, but also cheap. One is that we have to totally liberalize power sector. And the kind of lip service you are hearing from government is not enough. Liberalization has to happen. If an industry can produce their power to use, and they have access to sell, they must be at liberty to sell it to the next factory. So that we have as many producers of energy as possible, because abundance brings forth lower prices. The second thing in terms of bringing the cost of power down in Kenya, we have an institution called KenGen, majority owned by the people of Kenya through the government. The current valuation of KenGen is around 75 billion Kenya shillings. Yet it is a company that produces roughly 2,000 megawatts of power. An equivalent of KenGen in other economies is valued more than 450 billion Kenya shillings. Just to cite like two, Transport Power in Nigeria, Geregu Power in Nigeria. Currently there is a transaction ongoing in Philippines, a country called EDC, producing less than KenGen, yet the valuation is $5 billion US. What am I proposing? that immediately, and I'm talking about early 2028, we must leverage the $500 billion assets of KenGen. The government must advertise internationally and sell 35% of KenGen into a partner that knows much more about power, so that we fetch close to 150 billion Kenya shillings, and that money will go directly into producing more energy. The more we produce, the cheaper it will become. On manufacturing, the issue again of manufacturing policy, I am just trying to be brief. I have done a lot of research on the things I'm talking about, so I'm just giving top lines. Vitu tu zile summary. Manufacturing policy. Nimeweza kuangalia nchi kama South Korea iliweza kukua namna gani, nchi kama China from 1978, na nikaona ya kwamba nchi huwa haiachiliwi tu ijipeleke. Lazima serikali inaangazia ni wapi tunataka nchi iendelee. Na katika hiyo, manufacturing huwa inaongozwa na kitu inaitwa manufacturing policy. And we've been able to check the kind of items that Kenya can tap into so that we can grow our manufacturing sector at a much faster pace than we are doing now. The other issue, you allow me just to go top line and summary, around jobs. All these points now I am giving are all about jobs. The other second point around jobs is hospitality and tourism. Currently, Kenya last year had maybe around 2.7 million. Is that we also must diversify the menus in our schools. A country of 58 million Kenyans, abundantly blessed, well positioned. I have looked at cases, for example, Morocco, a much smaller country than Kenya in terms of population. Even in terms of endowments, Kenya is much better. Morocco had 19 million visitors last year. Albania, a country with maybe a tenth of our population, they had 12 million visitors last year. Clearly there is something we can do so that we grow our tourism sector, diversifying what we offer, marketing Kenya better, and my target is that as a country we should be able to attract 10 million international visitors. What does that do? For every 3 million visitors, we create 1 million jobs. If we have 10 million visitors, we are talking about 3 million direct jobs. And every one direct job in hospitality and tourism creates 3 more jobs indirectly through agriculture, through transport, and the rest. It is clear that we can do more, attract more visitors into Kenya, and clearly create more than 3 million direct jobs for the great youth of Kenya who are watching us tonight. The other issue I want to highlight in terms of jobs again. All this I'm giving is about jobs because I've realized there is no way you can say you are growing an economy when many Kenyans qualified are idle. So allow me to highlight the issue of finance industry. Kenya has many banks, over 40. Whether big or small, they all make money.